Bully is undoubtedly one of my favorite games of all time, and it has so much replayability value. It's insane. I've played the game and beat it all the way through at least 3 or more times, and sometimes I've even gone back and gotten 100% completion on the game just for fun. This game is undeniably one of the most creative and innovative games of all time, so I wanted to make an Iceberg video on it, and I worked really hard on this script and this video, so if you could show your support by dropping a like, I'd really appreciate it because this video has taken a long time to make. So yeah, enjoy. To start things off, in layer 1, the church. The church in Bully is located in Old Bulworth Vale, along with a graveyard in its proximity. The mystery of the church in Bully is quite creepy actually. The idea behind the church being creepy is because there's believed to be creepy sounds that are heard coming from within the church at night. Many players said that they've seen a dog at the church, but it only appears at nighttime. They have never seen it in the daytime. Along with the sounds coming from the church, the front gate is also closed at night. When you go up to the church at night, you can hear people talking inside, and one of the voices sounds like Mr. Hattrick. And if you head to Blue Skies Industrial Park, you have a chance of hearing one of the workers say, "Have you heard about the paper mill? I heard it's got some strange stuff going on, like the graveyard, but worse." And the voice that sounds like Mr. Hattrick, coming from inside the church, is heard to be preaching about the end of the world. So the church is not a place you want to be at night, and it's kind of creepy because of the fact that a voice sounds exactly like Mr. Hattrick coming from inside the church, spreading word about something that sounds like the end of the world. So as I said before, 2 workers in Blue Skies Industrial Park can be heard talking about some sort of haunted paper mill, but the haunted paper mill is nowhere to be found in all of Bulworth. Although it's rumored to be in the industrial zone near Blue Skies, one of the workers spoke of ghosts or paranormal events in the attic of the paper mill. However, there's zero evidence of this paper mill even existing in the game. So how do we know these ghosts exist? Well, a different worker in Blue Skies is heard telling his co-worker about paranormal events occurring in the paper mill. This is what he said.
About the paper mill? I heard it's got some strange stuff going on, like the graveyard, but worse.
He speaks about another one of his friends seeing freaky stuff at the paper mill, and it reminded him of a big ball of slime. Another thing he says is this.
Sick of getting the runaround from the cops. Why can't they just have the balls to go up to the attic of the mill?
Even the police are scared to go into the attic of the paper mill, and even think this guy is psychotic or insane. Even after I searched for the paper mill, I couldn't find it. But some say the paper mill is supposed to be in the game's missions, but it didn't make the final cut. Although it's rumored to be one of the unlockable zones that you can go in, such as the warehouse and Blue Skies, but not many evidence shows that this is actually the real paper mill that he's talking about. Now, I'm sure we've all seen Jimmy's room considering you're watching this video and assuming that you played the game, and if you haven't, it's fine. I recommend you go play it right after this is done. But anyways, now this is one that isn't as interesting, but I thought I'd include it anyways since it is an Iceberg video. But Jimmy's room is customizable and changes as you complete the story. I'm quickly going to go through all the custom items you can unlock throughout the game. If you want to skip past this part, feel free. Probably skip like a minute ahead because there's a lot you can unlock. Alright, you can unlock Vote E for Ernest poster, Beatrice's photo, G&G character sheets, Russell's polo shirt, giant teddy bear, Pinky's photo, a pair of panties, a crappy trophy, Crapula Maxima leaf, boxing gloves, busted photo, Lola's photo, Johnny's leather jacket, Planet Mobile, Grim Reaper statue, Mandy's photo, Ted's football jersey, a burnt Bulworth banner, a dead rat in a jar, orderly uniform, Zoe's photo, Blue Skies banner and signs, Bulworth school crest, the big trophy, go-kart steering wheel, #1 paperboy ribbon, Rockstar poster, girly car poster, the art set, a model skeleton, a globe, wrestling headgear, dodgeball, an abacus, a cowbell, Miss Phillips photo, BMX frame, a lawn gnome, a jack-o'-lantern, and finally a tombstone. Now I know that was a lot, just thought I'd mention it because why not? So now that I'm finally done with those, let's move on to the hole mission. What is the hole? The hole is an octagon-shaped pit located under or in the sewers of Bulworth Academy. The hole is about 6 feet deep and no way to get in or out without a ladder. Oddly enough, this ladder doesn't appear in free roam. There's a broken down elevator that leads to the hole, which originally was meant for Jimmy to take in order to get to the roof of the school. Near the hole, there's a table that has a microphone, a scorecard, and a timekeeper's bell. But here's where things get strange. Behind the table are some names of unseen characters such as John, Roach, Sean, and Tim. All their names are written on the scorecard, and next to their names are dashes, which this could mean how many points they have in a fight. Also, along with that, there's a judge table with a gavel and a red tablecloth. The hole is used as a ring or stadium where anticipated fights went down in the school. One of these fights being Jimmy Hopkins versus Russell Northrope. Christy Martin writes in one of her gossip pieces, "I heard that there was fresh blood in the floor of the hole. However, Christy wasn't present at the time that Russell and Jimmy's fight were taking place, so we're led to believe that she came down after the fight and saw it, but this is most likely not the case, since she had said before, this is our fight." The hole is also believed to have more missions in early development and have a fight club down there. However, they canceled it because they knew people's reaction to an organized fight club is probably not a good thing to have in the game, because it probably won't fit within their T-rated standards. The existence of the hole is known to every student. However, Dr. Crabblesnitch is heard to be on the search for the hole throughout the entire game. Finally, towards the end of Layer 1, we reach the last section of it, and this one is about the ambient noises in Bully. And the ambient noises in Bully is hands down one of the creepiest things ever. If you've ever played Bully, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And some examples of this are that players can hear the sound of running, chainsaw, and laughter coming from a rundown and abandoned house in blue skies at any time of the day as well. Along with the running, chainsaw, and laughter, snoring can be heard and smoke can be seen in the house as well. In the rundown houses of eastern New Coventry and near the bridge of blue skies, you can also hear voices. Most of the voices are muffled, but one word that can be heard clearly is a young boy yelling no, but the rest of the sentences, like I said, were muffled. Also, I lied. I completely forgot to mention one of the parts in Layer 1, but this is for sure the last one. There's a UFO that can be seen above Bulworth. There's a hobo that lives behind the school, and your mission with him is to find 6 transistors for him. For each transistor you give him, he teaches you a new fighting move. Once you give him all 6 transistors, a beam of light brings him into space. But this is not direct proof of aliens or a UFO within the game. Some players believe this is enough proof for UFO or aliens, but I wanted to dive deeper and see if there is more evidence supporting the idea of alien life forms or a UFO. So I found that if you complete Biology 4, you unlock an alien outfit, but that's not enough proof for me to believe it. So if you go to the asylum, you'll find a portrait of a young man. What you can see in this picture is actually quite eerie and creepy. If you look closely, you can see an alien figure right behind him, or at least that's what it looks like to me. If you travel deeper into the asylum, you'll find weird looking x-rays that are presumed to be an alien type of entity. But there's also many ambient noises that lead me to believe that aliens really do exist. Starting off with Layer 2, the Mermaid in the Lake. Mermaid at the Lake is a theory started by Bully theorists and game theorists. The reason they started this is because at the Freak Show, which is located in the carnival, you can find a mermaid swimming around a sunken boat. This same boat can also be found in blue skies. With it is supposed to be a mermaid, the same mermaid from the Freak Show. People have claimed they've seen the mermaids singing and hanging out at the boat, or on the Pirates Island, or at the beach. Rockstar says that they only placed one mermaid in the game, and that mermaid is only at the Freak Show and nowhere else. After searching around for the mermaid, I couldn't find anything myself, so I'm not sure if the mermaid is out of the Freak Show or not, but I thought I would include it anyways, because not many people know about it. Next topic of Layer 2 is Russell's medical problem. Within the storyline, it can be hinted that Russell has a variety of medical problems. Due to Russell's impeccable height and size, no homo, it could be the direct result of gigantism or acromegaly. Russell even states that his Nurse McRae, told him he had overactive glands, which is what acromegaly means. Russell may also have a mental handicap due to his unintelligence and his childlike mind. Although he does recognize right from wrong, since in the story Jimmy makes him realize bullying is bad, or choosing to hide from the police after stealing a motorcycle out of fear of going to prison. Another thing Russell does is use bad grammar or refer to himself in third person due to his unintelligence. Probably the most popular myth or theory in the game is that the game has werewolves. As I mentioned earlier, there were alien-like x-ray photos in the asylum. This also includes werewolf-like x-rays next to them. There are strange howling noises at night, but there is no direct proof that these howls are directed towards werewolves. Many believe this myth to be false, but some believe it to be true. Although in the game's sound effects, you can find a file named Wolf Howl, and this could link up with the ambient noises I was talking about earlier. And in the next topic, it's about dead students in biology class. In the early days of Bully, there was rumors that there were dead students in biology class. The YouTuber who goes by the name of Swagta used cheat codes to get places where normal players couldn't get, and what he found was absolutely horrifying. Swagta found 2 different heads of teenage boys who were likely students of the school previously. These 2 heads were preserved in formaldehyde jars to keep them fresh. No one knew whether these 2 students were murdered or died for reasons only known to Dr. Slaughter, the biology teacher. Finally, for the last topic of Layer 2, Ghost Girl. Ghost Girl is a semi-popular myth in Bully. The myth is that a ghost girl, hence the name, stands in the top of the girl's dorm at night, either in the attic or in the bathroom. It's rumored that she goes to the gymnasium as well. Apparently the girl had died at Bulworth and still resides there in ghost form, but there is never any footage of her existence as a ghost or as a student, so it's most likely that this is sadly just a myth that was never proven true. Now, to begin things with Layer 3, I just want to say, I know Layer 2 was kind of short, but things only get crazier from here, and you're going to want to wait till we get to Layer 4, because that's where things actually go, like, mental. But anyways, the first theory in Layer 3 is Gary Smith is a werewolf. Now, as I mentioned before, with the possibilities of werewolves existing within Bulworth, it's quite slim, but there is a slim chance that they really do exist, and if this theory is true, that would be even more crazy. Many people are led to believe that Gary Smith is a werewolf. The reason why people believe he's a werewolf is because the mask worn by Trevor on Halloween was a werewolf mask. Now you're thinking, okay, whatever, it's Halloween. The werewolf mask had the exact same scar in the exact same location as Gary's scar, over his right eye, and the werewolf mask has a scar across its right eye as well. But is this really truly enough evidence to prove that Gary Smith is a werewolf? I would say no, since it's just one minor coincidence, but it's something you should really keep in mind while you play. Now the next theory is Jimmy is killed by Edgar. Edgar Munson can kill Jimmy in the Fight Part 1 mission. You start this mission by completing the chase from the previous mission. Once you find Edgar in the plant, he rips a metal pipe off the wall, then you have to pick up a piece of metal to deflect his hits. The piece of metal that you pick up acts as a shield, and after blocking 2 of his attacks, his pipe will shatter. Pause. After destroying his weapon, he then grabs another and runs. Once you meet up with him again, you have a joust-like battle, but if you were to get knocked out, you would fall into acid and one of Edgar's unused lines would play. Or if you lost a fight in a certain area, Edgar would then throw Jimmy into a barrel of green chemicals, but this was removed in the final game because they didn't think it would fit within their T-rated game, which makes sense. It's murder. The mission Help Gary has a hidden meaning. Help Gary is an early game mission. In this mission you find out Gary doesn't actually like you, he just wants to use you to take over the school, in order for Jimmy to help him with his psychological and family problems. Gary states one of his problems being his parents. Miss Abby is the old lady who walks around Bulworth, and she speaks poorly of Gary's mom and Mr. Smith, Gary's grandpa. She also complains about his family. Donald Anderson is one of the nerds at the school, and he can be heard mentioning Mr. Smith's name and saying that he was kicked out of Bully and sent to prison. Since this is Gary's grandpa, this explains why Gary acts the way he does. Towards the end of the game, townspeople can be heard saying they think Gary is mentally unstable. Gary suffers from ADD, narcissism, and paranoia. He thinks of himself ruling a large empire, hence why he wants to take over the school. The reason why he's so antsy on the couch is because he was taking medication but stopped around the time the Halloween mission occurred, which was 2 missions prior Help Gary. The main point of the mission is to really help Gary with his problems, but not a lot of people know this because all we saw was the back end of the build-up, where Gary decides he doesn't need Jimmy, and the reason he thinks this is because of the narcissism and paranoia. A lot of theorists believe if Jimmy showed up a few minutes before, he could have helped Gary and Gary wouldn't have betrayed him the way he did, and they really would take over the school together. The effects of bullying, Dan Wilson. Dan was formerly a nerd, but then began playing football and he decided he wanted to join the Jocks. Dan's younger brother is Thad Wilson. Thad is a part of the nerd clique, and Dan used to be a nerd with him. Dan claims to have been bullied a lot before when he used to be a part of the nerd clique. Despite him being bullied, he likes to mess around with his teammates and bully his favorite victim, Ernest, which is another nerd. Although it can be heard that Dan misses being a nerd, even though his favorite quote is, "Playing football defines my life." But according to the nerds, Dan has only recently become a jock. Another theory is that Zoe and Biff are actually siblings. This is sort of a stretch of a theory, but it is led to believe that Zoe Taylor, who's from Blue Skies, and Biff Taylor, who's from Old Bulworth, are actually siblings, since they share a surname. It could have been done on purpose by devs, or it could be a mere coincidence that they share the same surname, but I thought I would include it because it's very unknown. Finally, moving on to the last layer, layer 4. This is where things get absolutely insane. One theory is that Jimmy is in purgatory for the entire game. The whole game was not real and that Jimmy died. Jimmy being trapped in purgatory throughout the entire game, having to try and purify himself and eventually go to heaven. Hence why you progress through new chapters, more cliques start appreciating you, and you slowly start gaining popularity, or in other words, purifying yourself. Another thing that further proves this theory is that the final chapter is named Endless Summer. This could mean Jimmy finally purified himself, and his idea of heaven is being the most popular in school and everyone liking him. Rockstar also tried to assimilate each chapter with stages of purgatory. The first chapter named Making New Friends and Enemies, the second named Rich Kid Blues, the third being named Love Makes the World Go Round, the fourth named A Healthy Mind and a Healthy Body, and the fifth named The Fall and Rise of Jimmy Hopkins, age 15, and finally the sixth named Endless Summer, The Lost Mission. The Lost Mission is just a creepypasta, but it talks about a lost mission called Help PD, found in the game files. When you start the mission, you see Jimmy, Gary, and PD all playing poker, but the audio that is playing is completely different from what the cutscene shows. The audio that's playing was saying, "Say, femboy, how's your time with the janitor? I bet you enjoyed it, huh?" said Gary, and at this point PD began to cry. Gary then said, "What's the matter, femboy? Did he break your heart?" After Gary said this, PD then said, "You know what, Gary? I'm sick of life. I hate you so much. You've done nothing but torment me. I'm ending it all now." Then a slashing or cutting sound can be heard. Gary then says, "Oh, PD, do that again." But the cutscene is still showing them three playing poker. Then PD was crying and the same cutting or slashing sound was playing, while Gary kept laughing. Once the cutscene ended, you became in control of Jimmy, and you were in the school's basement. Your mission was to find the janitor, Mr. Luntz. To get Luntz, you had to take the school's elevator. Once you were down and off the elevator, a cutscene began to play. It showed a few corpses tied up against the wall with a skinny girl and PD. PD was tied up against the furnace with the janitor, Mr. Luntz, hitting him with a hammer. So this mission was never a part of the game, and I'm pretty sure it's just a creepypasta made by a fan, but I thought it was a really cool idea and that not many people knew about this creepypasta or this idea of a mission, and I thought it'd be very interesting to add because when I was reading it, I found it extremely interesting. The next and final idea is that Jimmy is the real bully. Jimmy is believed to be James Earl Cash from the game Manhunt, since they share so many similarities and even share the same first name, but this theory goes way deeper than just their first name being similar. The reason why Jimmy is a real bully is because of the fact that he has neglectful parents that don't care about him and send him off to a school where he must stay. Jimmy feels his anger because of the actions done by his parents by brutally beating up kids with baseball bats and other melee weapons. Theorists believe that he does these things in response to how he was treated by his parents. This then leads Jimmy to grow up with psychological problems. While Jimmy beats students up, James kills them. With these connections, Jimmy is the only true bully at the school. If a therapist viewed Jimmy's actions as an adolescent, they would be led to think that they would live a dysfunctional future as an adult. Along with this in mind, Bully, GTA, and Manhunt all take place in the same universe. Both Bully and Manhunt are made by Rockstar. Both protagonists named James, leading us to believe that Jimmy Hopkins is James Earl Cash, meaning he is the only real bully at the school. This leads me to my next and final part of the iceberg. Bully 2 is Manhunt. I touched on this in my last segment, but Manhunt is Bully 2. There's multiple pieces of evidence leading us to believe that this is true. For starters, Jimmy and James share the same first name. Bully and Manhunt take place in the same universe, and on rare occasions, citizens can be heard yelling Starkweather, which is the same name for the antagonist in Manhunt. In Manhunt 2, their style of fighting and their stance is a recycled animation from Bully. Jimmy Hopkins and the NPCs share the same animation. In Bully at the Asylum, you can find a picture of a pig with the word Piggy written under it, possibly a reference to Pigsy in Manhunt. Also, at Zoe's house, from the neighboring house can be heard a chainsaw and pig noises, which this is almost guaranteed that it's a Pigsy reference, because Pigsy both has a chainsaw and makes pig noises.
Trenches with their bare hands.
And Jimmy and James also share the same mannerisms as well. They're both stern, quiet, and easily tackle any objective they have. Even their bone structure and their faces are similar, almost identical matter of fact. Sources prove the game Bully is set in 1995 because of all the arcade games and Back to the Future and Rocky posters. Although the time period of Bully was never confirmed, there have been many accurate estimates, and the time that Bully takes place is the same as the flashbacks in Manhunt 2. And to wrap things up, I'm going to give a timeline of the information that was presented. In 1980, James Earl Cash was born. His mother had 4 marriages and then her 5th in 1995, the same time Jimmy or James goes to boarding school as a 15-year-old. If you know the bully backstory, you would know that Jimmy Hopkins' mom has had 4 marriages, and then her 5th one was her, Jimmy, and Jimmy's stepdad in the car driving him to Bulworth because they were going on a honeymoon. And in 1996, his mom's honeymoon ended and Jimmy gets picked up from school but feels distant from his family, so he becomes introverted. In 1997, his mom gets a divorce. In 1998, his mom remarries for the 6th time, and James' last name changes to Cash because of his new dad. In 1999, James commits a horrible crime which is assumed to be murder. After committing this crime, he goes on the run. In 2000, he's caught and sentenced to death. In 2003, James Earl Cash's execution day arrives, but is caught in the director's trap. James is forced to fight, and he escapes intact, but not his family. This then leads to the story of Manhunt, and it also led to the end of the Iceberg video. If you enjoyed this type of video, let me know in the comments. It took me like over a week to make, and I worked really hard on it. I know some parts were pretty bad. I know some parts were better than others. So give me feedback and tell me what I could improve on. And yeah, join my Discord, link in the description. And that's it. Peace.